guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we have coverage of probably the first big clash in the Premier League this season. Of course, Chelsea versus Liverpool at Stamford Bridge, capping off the Super Sunday yesterday. Today we're going to talk about basically what we saw during the game, because I felt that both sides had spells on top, but also that both sides had spells where they were really quite poor. So we're going to talk about how Pochettino and Chelsea done well in certain parts of the game and probably just about deserved to win. But we're also going to talk about the tactics used by Jurgen Klopp, why they started the game so well, but then also why they dropped off a little bit. So of course, to do this we need to go to the tactical board where we have the two lineups and the two formations. So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order. So we'll start off with why Liverpool started the game quite well, and that was because they were putting Chelsea under pressure, particularly from goal kicks. At goal kicks, Chelsea were moving to a structure which looked a little bit more like this. Reece James on the right hand side would come deeper, Levi Colwill would move to left back. You're almost giving yourself a back four in this sort of situation. Now Gallagher's going to drop in as the deepest midfielder, and Fernandes is going to be a little bit higher. From here, Liverpool were able to engage their press when Sanchez had the ball at goal kicks. So Salah can come in on Thiago Silva, Diaz is going to do the same on the other centre-back here, and Jota's going to drop a little bit deeper on towards Gallagher. We've got Robertson, who is kind of in this position here, ready to press James if the ball goes, and Trent Alexander-Arnold is doing something similar on the other side. Now the problem that Chelsea had from here was that they don't have, in the midfield in particular, that first phase player. Gallagher, for example, is much better with his movement off the ball rather than being the first receiver in these areas. Gallagher as your primary receiver just is a bad idea. He actually played quite well considering, but you're never going to get the best out of him in this particular role, and it made it difficult for Chelsea to play the ball out from the back. The other problem they had was that they couldn't go particularly long either because of the dominance of the Liverpool defenders. So down this side of the pitch here, Trent Alexander-Arnold, we can see, has got two players to deal with, in Colwill and Chilwell, meaning Chilwell's going to push a little bit further forward. Now, on paper, this now leaves Chilwell as the free man, so Sanchez can go long to him, you would think. But Konate done a really good job of going wide and defending that and getting rid of the ball. So this meant that Liverpool started the game quite well, on the front foot. They were pressing with good intensity, playing genuinely quite well. Of course, they scored their goal as well. They were causing problems for Chelsea. But for some reason, after this, they decided to be passive and they retreated back into more of a 4-3-3, allowing Chelsea to build possession. Now, as I kind of hinted at there, the main problem for Liverpool from these positions and what allowed Chelsea back into the game wasn't specifically the shape that Liverpool were using, for example. It was the tactical approach. It was the fact that, like I said, they became so passive. This front three of Liverpool had a chance to maybe put some pressure on the ball on the back three, but they didn't take that chance and instead were quite passive. This allowed Chelsea to move the ball through the pitch. Now again, earlier on in the game, Gallagher did have some problems, again being that first receiver, looking to dictate the play. Not his role at all. But as the game went on, as Liverpool's intensity decreased, Gallagher actually ended up having a pretty good game and I thought he played well. The other problem though for Liverpool is that they're going to be outnumbered in the midfield, but also they don't exactly have the intensity to make up for it. Gakpo, for example, is a half-decent pressing forward, but when you're playing him as a central midfielder who needs intensity going the other way, going backwards towards his own goal, you don't really get that. Now, fortunately for Liverpool, Chelsea did not expose that early on. The reason for that was because Enzo Fernandez was playing really central, really quite high, almost in this 10 position at times, leaving Gallagher almost solely responsible for progressing the ball. You're not going to see that. However, as the game went on, Enzo Fernandez started to drop into these positions here, and this is where Liverpool now had problems. Because what we can see on both sides of the pitch is that Chelsea have overloads. If Gallagher moves over here, for example, and the centre-back is going to be narrow, occupied by Jackson, you've got Gallagher, Chilwell and Chukwuemeka up against Szoboszlai and Trent Alexander-Arnold. And also, on this side of the pitch, you've got Enzo Fernandez, Raheem Sterling and Reece James, three quality players up against Gakpo and Andrew Robertson, with Van Dijk once again being occupied by Jackson. And this is where it was just too easy. It was genuinely just too easy for Chelsea in these areas. Enzo Fernandez would drop into this position here, instrumental with his performance, best player probably of the weekend in my opinion, absolutely incredible in this game. but he would just pick the ball up here off one of the centre-backs. He's going to lay it wide to Reece James. Robertson can't go close because Sterling is in this position here. Now you might think, well, maybe Van Dijk could cover that, but they don't want to leave Jackson isolated because he was a very big threat in this game, so Van Dijk stays more narrow. This means Robertson has to stay deeper, Reece James can receive the ball, and before his injury or his fatigue, he was genuinely brilliant on the ball in these areas. But so was Raheem Sterling, I thought. I've seen him getting a little bit of criticism, but I thought he played really well. Dropping off into this channel here, and then looking to carry the ball forward from this position, getting at the Liverpool defence, and again, genuinely hurting them. But it came from a lack of structure from Liverpool, a lack of intensity, poor personnel, a mixture of things. Cody Gakpo, for example, as good as he might be going forward, cannot be a central midfielder in a midfield three which has McAllister and Szoboszlai. It just can't happen. McAllister actually done really well in this game, but he needs some help in there. Szoboszlai, to be fair, defended with intensity at least. Maybe not quality, but intensity. Gakpo it was like playing with 10 men out of possession. He isn't exactly cutting the passing lane, he's not showing any defensive intensity, he's just been misprofiled, he's out of position. Curtis Jones would have been a way better option for this role, but it allowed Chelsea to play forward down this side of the pitch time and time again. Chelsea also had threat down the other side of the pitch as well, with Chilwell and Chukwuemeka rotating and causing similar problems down this side of the pitch. Now, unfortunately for Chelsea, down this side they don't have quite as much quality. Chukwuemeka isn't as good as Sterling, Gallagher certainly isn't as good as Fernandes, so they didn't have the same success, but their rotations were clearly still a problem, and they were still hurting Liverpool down this side of the pitch. I think in the second half in particular, if Chilwell had just a slightly better performance, Chelsea probably go on to win this game. Because there were situations where they could build the ball down the right hand side, they're kind of drawing Liverpool over onto them, and using Chilwell as the free man on the other side. The amount of times they then played this switch, but Chilwell just struggled with that first touch in the second half, that let the team down a little bit. And like I said, I think if he had played better, Chelsea may well have gone on to win this game. They also could have won this game through Nicholas Jackson, who I thought played really well. His general play was fantastic. His hold-up play was good, his linking play was good, his running in behind was good. The fact that he makes a run in behind at one point and has the control to dribble with the ball, the pace to go past Konate, but also the strength to hold him off, all whilst Virgil van Dijk is also trying to tackle him, and he gets the shot off, is very impressive. He may not have scored in this game, and he did miss a good chance, but he looks really good. Really good, so Chelsea should be excited about that. But the problem for Chelsea in the final third was just that last bit of quality. That pure quality to deliver something. Reece James and Chilwell, they're good wide players, they're going to put a good ball into the box, but it's not like having a winger in this position who's going to dribble past someone. Chukwuemeka, really good young player, bright potential, bright future ahead of him, but didn't quite have the quality. Jackson couldn't apply that final touch. Sterling lacked that final delivery into the box. Enzo Fernandez looked like the one who could make something happen, but it just kind of petered out towards the end of the game. Now to talk about Liverpool. And this is actually going to be quite a brief section because they didn't have that much to the ball. And their main threat really was on the counter-attack. But the problem for them was it was also the counter-attack which gave them their own problems. So let's talk about that. Chelsea are dominating the ball, right? As we've discussed, they're creating chances, moving the ball forward quite nicely. But this means that when Liverpool win the ball back and look to counter-attack and go forward, they have lots of players in this team which can pass the ball forward. Andrew Robertson wants to do it, Trent wants to do it, Szoboszlai wants to do it, McAllister wants to do it, Gakpo wants to do it. They want to get the ball moving forward nice and quickly. They've done that well, which meant that for the goal, for example, McAllister plays the ball to Salah, they hurt the defence. The reason they were able to hurt the defence was because Liverpool had 3 versus 3 on the counter-attack. Now, Disasi, Thiago Silva and Levi Colwill are all good defenders. No one wants to be man-to-man with this Liverpool team. It's dangerous. It's so dangerous, especially Mohamed Salah up against a young defender like Levi Colwill. Now, I rate Levi Colwill. I think he's so good, probably the best young defender in the world. But 1 versus 1 against Salah, it's a long day for anyone. I think he makes a mistake on the goal. I think he should show him outside rather than inside. After that, he actually dealt with it pretty well. But this threat from Liverpool on the counter-attack was there, and it's always going to be when you have a 3 versus 3 situation with high energy runners in the midfield, players who are looking to get forward, join the attack, try and hurt Chelsea. Liverpool looked dangerous on the counter-attack all day long. However, I would also say it was the fact that they wanted to counter-attack which really killed them in this football match. And it was something I was worried about coming into this season. This is a very technical team. Very technical. Much more technical than teams we've seen of Liverpool in the past. The team which won their league wasn't as technical as this, sorry. However, this team is so direct. It's so direct. They get the ball, their first thought is can I get it forward? Andrew Robertson, Trent, McAllister not as much, he actually done well in this game, but still he does want to play forward. Szoboszlai, first thought, forward. Gakpo, forward. Salah, forward. When you're trying to quickly move the ball forward, every single time you get the ball, it's either going to go really well and you're going to win 4-0, or it's going to go really badly, you're going to lose the ball all the time and completely surrender control of the game. And that is what happened to Liverpool. Trent Alexander-Arnold, you don't need to go forward every time. Liverpool are trying to play killer passes from their own defensive third of the pitch, their own half of the pitch. It doesn't matter. It's far too direct, and it sacrifices control of the ball, giving Chelsea possession. Liverpool then didn't have the intensity and were passive in the way in which they approached the game from a defensive point of view, giving Chelsea control of the ball, and it just allowed Chelsea to take the sting out of Liverpool completely. Liverpool played so well in that first 20 minutes. Klopp set his team up really well for that first 20 minutes. They were doing well, they were pushing high, Chelsea couldn't really play out the back. The McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gakpo midfield looked really lively, a lot of energy, electricity in the way that they were playing. I mean, it could have been 2-0 if the goal wasn't offside for Salah. They were hurting Chelsea, they really were. But then they just went so passive, and the players seemed to fatigue. And the problem is when you fatigue as a footballer, typically, when you fatigue, you kind of resort back to like, what's the best word of, old habits almost. So let's say I'm a player who naturally wants to play the ball forward quickly. When I'm sharp and the manager tells me just slow down a little bit and go sideways, when I'm sharp I can do that, I can go sideways. However, as I fatigue, my decision making gets worse, which means I go back to old habits. That is really what happened to this Liverpool team. They were just far too direct. Jurgen Klopp needs to do something about it. A 6 will go some way to addressing it, but it won't fix it. A left-sided defender will go some way to fixing it, but it won't completely fix it. It's a coaching problem. These players are too direct and they don't have a good counter press. That's a recipe for disaster. In terms of this game, I think they'll be really happy with the draw. I think it's a good result for them. I think Pochettino will be a little bit disappointed based on the match that they couldn't get all 3 points. But I think, again, if before the game you'd offered him a point, he would have been happy. And that's, of course, where we ended up, with both teams probably reasonably okay and content with the final score. Happy with the point to start the season. I think there's a lot of potential in both of these sides, but there's also a lot which needs to be fixed still. Chelsea need that midfielder. Caicedo should bring that. And then that extra bit of quality in the final third of the pitch. Liverpool need a new approach to the way in which they play. It has to be slower, but also they need some new signings. But that's talk for another day. In terms of today's video, we are done. That is how this match finished 1-1. That was the tactics used by both sides. So that's all I'm saying for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.